So, as I mentioned, the why are we in such a stuck position? I'm going to speak about, that energy or that dark force that has been keeping us all down for the longest time. I think I made another video just like it, but I'm going to speak about more because I have new subscribers, and, it's critical that we all know why things are happening the way they're happening. And you can look this up, in a book called The Flower of Life. I think this other YouTube channel, Spirit Science, has an animated story about it too, so you can check that out. But this book was written by Drunvalo Melchizedek, and he was a channeler, or he's still a channeler. I don't know if he's still around. It's been a while since I heard of him. But again, because the number one principle of the Hermetic principles is mentalism, that everything happens in the mind. Everything is mental, and this is how we create. This is how our Father created all of us, mentally, and this is how we create too. So you see how this is why I believe that we have that godly power, because we're able to create our own environment, because we're all living a universe of our own. You can't step out of your own universe and be in somebody else's universe. You could co-live with other universes, but it doesn't mean that you know exactly what's going on in that universe. I mean, you can get a glimpse, but you don't know 100% everything. But that's what they're trying to make it look like, that it's just one universe and everybody has the same experience, and that is reality, when in actuality we're all having our own realities. But again, because everything is in the mental, these capabilities we all have as human beings. We are able to channel. Sometimes you just get these ideas, right? And so where did that come from? I mean, it's either called inspiration or intuition. The way we are able to speak to God and see, things that we can create, that we create in mind, right? So we're able to do that. And if you have questions about that, look at the painting of Michelangelo, Adam, and you'll see, that what I'm speaking of. Again, you also have to remember that artist was around the Enlightenment, epoch, era, even though he had been hired by religion, he was kind of sneaking all the good material into the paintings, and unless you're enlightened, you won't be able to see what I'm speaking of. And you'll just call me crazy, and that's okay, because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who are, up here, not the people who are down here. And if you are down here, you won't get it. So, anywho, the story goes that, personally, just as a side note before I start, the origin, or one of the lifetimes that I lived, was in Mintakan. I'm a Mintakan spirit, starseed, if you will. That's a new term that I learned, but our spirits travel from lifetime to lifetime, from planet to planet, from species to species, and we just keep gathering information, living all these lives, so sometimes you get glimpses of them in your mind, and you're like, what was that? You're getting through dreams. But just to not go into fully in depth, I am a Mintakan starseed, and the way basically my planet doesn't exist anymore because it was destroyed by some warring planet, warring species. Some people say that it was the what do they call it? The lizard people. What do they call it? The reptilians, maybe. But they're all pretty much the same. If they are about conquering and taking over and things like that, then they're dark forces, because that's how the dark behaves. Again, God is love, God is peace, and that stuff is way below down here. Think of an octave in a piano. You know how it keeps going up and up and up and up? It's the same thing if it goes down, 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 down. You know, sometimes you hear some of those notes and you go, oh, that's creepy. That's because of that, you know. And that's how pretty much the universe breaks down as well, you know. You can go up to the higher octaves or the higher vibrations, and you'll always find more elevated beings than when you go into the lower ones, right? This is why I always say that people who are upside down, they think that their thoughts come from heaven, but they're coming from somewhere else, you know, because that's why they behave the way they behave. But anywho, when we were taken over, we were of a feminine consciousness. We were mermaids. It was a water world. And we were the whole point was to be beautiful and just dance around and sing and swim around. And, you know, basically it was I've always had a belief within that, you know, I'm about beautifying any space that I go into. So this is why I can't stand people who you know, make the environment toxic, either with their words, the sound they make, or their actions. You know, I'm all about beautifying everything, and now I know why, because I am Mintakan. So because we were of a feminine consciousness, we were like a bunch of girls. So then these big ugly monsters, they showed up, and they were able to take over. And of course they ate everything, they extracted all the resources, and they just blew it up to smithereens. So this is why I always have this sense of not reaching home. I mean, I used to have nightmares about that, just running and running, looking for home. Now I know why. You see, all of these things are connected. But anyway, when Earth was taken over by these dark entities, it was the same thing. We were all living, we were just chilling, you know, being of a feminine consciousness as well. So these dark entities were able to show up and just take over. In actuality, their consciousness was that of an older male. You know, they were a warring society. So they just showed up and they took over. And basically this is why we've been kept in the dark for so long. This is why I believe the black people have been persecuted for all this time, because they're direct descendants of the gods that live here with us, that basically build all those structures that you see around the world that people are going, oh yeah, those are tombs, when were actually, you know, structures to channel energy. I mean, you are a walking pyramid. And pyramid, basically, if you hyphenate the word, means fire in the middle. Pyro, mid. Fire in the middle. You have fire running down your spine. When you meditate, sometimes, if you really get into it, you can see electric bolts, you know, especially when it reaches your head. And when you look into the caduceus, then you see those two forces, the masculine and feminine energy, going up to the head and giving you enlightenment, lighting you up, because that's who you are. You're light. So with that light, as the more powerful it gets, the better you are in, you know, rearranging your environment or creating what you want to create. There's nothing in the way. But see, because of all the dogma or all of the garbage that basically these dark entities have been infecting us with, that gets in the way. That's what is called, for instance, generational patterns and things like that, because I believe that we're all angels with amnesia. So when we show up here, we know what we want to do. Little children are telling you, I already know what I want to do this, I want to do that. Some of them will tell you, I want to be a spaceman, you know, because they just came from there, you know, so they're just very familiar with that. But people are like, silly kids, you know. That's why I hate when people, you know, put down children because, you know, they think that they're not smart enough. It's like, you don't know anything. It's like, no, you don't know anything, because this little baby just came from up above, and you're not taking anything that they say seriously. You know, it's unfortunately we get infected with such pollution that we don't look at the things that we should be looking into. We should be listening to children a lot more. They have amazing ideas, progressive ideas, you know. So that has been the reason why of the Dark Ages and the burnings of, in Salem. Again, all those poor souls were just smart people who were saying smart things, and people who were infected with that pollution, that mentality, just put them all down. The Inquisition was the same way. Religion is being used to keep humankind down. Women have been kept down because of that, because they're able to tap into those two energies, so therefore they reach enlightenment like that. So hey, we can't have you thinking those things, so put you down. This is, again, I just brought up black people, how they've been kept down because they were the direct descendants of the gods that basically told us this information. Thoth was one of them, Hermes or Mercury, however you want to call them. That's the same entity who was able to inspire the three initiates to write the Kabbalion, where these 7 hermetic principles are. It's a lot of information, right? But I'm trying to squeeze it into such a little tiny amount of space, because sometimes I go too long and I want to squeeze everything in so you get all the information as much as possible. But that is really why, when you think about it, it's a lot of us have been kept down. We were a multicolored society before these horrible beasts showed up. And these people, the moment they took over, they have been inflicting just pain and suffering and dividing us all. And right now in the United States, we have somebody who's uniting all of us. And what are these bestial monsters doing? They don't want that. They want things to stay the way it's been for all these centuries. They erased our past history, our rich history, because of that. In the burning of Alexandria, they burned all of our ancient books. So now, again, we just take the word, we've been around for only 5,000 years. Okay, well, I guess. These are tombs? Okay. These are... when pyramids or these structures were put there, to channel Earth's energy and connect us to the heavens. Again, when you're grounded, you're able to connect to divine intelligence. And this is why you start changing, you start, speaking big words, and all of a sudden people around you are like, I don't like him. I know, because I went through it, and you probably know, and can concur, because you probably went through it too. All of us who have been the black sheep in the family, we were always the ones who were like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And because we questioned it, we got cast out. But again, it just put all those dots together, and this is why we've been suffering what we've been suffering. And this is why I made the last video, which was that women and Gen Z are going to get us out of, basically they're going to save us all, because of their advancement in their way they think. Women being able to reach enlightenment quicker, because again, they don't mind being masculine and feminine at the same time. But guys have the big issue, like, no, I'm not gay, no, I'm not, no, I don't do that, because of all the pollution, you see. So unfortunately for the bros, it's becoming a lot harder to reach enlightenment. And again, that's not me, it's Carl Jung. But again, I have experienced it, and I know that you can only reach enlightenment unless you allow your feminine energy to come out, to start balancing things out. Because again, you do have a right brain hemisphere and a left brain hemisphere. And if you're just using the left, which we've been only instructed to do so for all this time, and this is why we're in the position that we are in, wars keep cropping up out of anywhere, because apparently that's the solution, to use force when you can use power. But see, the status quo doesn't want us to use power, because then that means that we won't need anything. We can just create it. So anyway, before I go too long, think about it and feel about it.